It's Frank Ranks week 30. We are 30 weeks into 2025. That's incredible. We got Marvel, we got DC, we got 8 comics to talk about today. We're going to rank them. Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, I'm working on a film right now. It is actually coming on at 1 a.m. I ended up having 2 conference calls with some A-list talent-attached films I'm trying to help raise money for. And I was working on a Tubi movie called Gangster's Daughter 4, and I sliced my finger real good on set. That's why I have electrical tape holding my finger together. Everybody's like, did you go get stitches? And I'm like, no. So anyway, let's jump into these 8 comics from all the big 2 plus independents, and we'll see who ranks at number 1. Will it be Marvel? Will it be DC? Or will it be an independent? So let's jump into it right now with number 8. And number 8 starts as Marvel, which is no wonder to anyone, as Marvel is almost always on the bottom. And we're going to start with almost a semi-X-Men title. And that is Magic, number 8. So I like Magic a lot. I think she's one of the more interesting characters. Plus you have Danny Moonstar in there too, and I'm a big fan of hers. And I thought, maybe them coming together would make a really good match, but Magic does not warrant an ongoing series. That's a very, very bad move. She's part of a team. That's where she strives the best at, and going solo didn't really work, and having Danny with her eventually didn't really help either. In this issue, first of all, it definitely doesn't warrant a 12-issue one-story arc. I don't know what they're thinking on that. 12 issues doesn't work for most characters, much less a character that's supposed to be part of a team. So it's just feeling so drawn out, so boring. I have no idea what even is going on anymore. I don't think the writer knows what's going on anymore. The story is so diluted that it's hard to keep track of anything. And now we have the demon inside Cal, and the dialogue is just awful. We're going with, and I think that the artist changed as well. But we have Magic going, Danny, what's your orders? And we have Danny going, I don't know, what's your orders? And then we have the demon guy going, why don't you go do this? And then they go do that, and it's like 2 or 3 times over. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? What is even happening? And then we have this very Technicolor type, almost like having a dream-like trance, where we have these monsters that look like they're on drugs or whatever else, seeing monsters on drugs, and suddenly they're just turned back into human. I don't even know. I had no idea what was going on. None. So this will be, I'm dropping the title. I thought I was just going for 6 to 8 issues, and that's it. And there's no end in sight. I mean, none. This thing's probably going to go for 300 issues, and nobody will read it. I have no idea. But this will be the last time I am reporting on Magic. I don't think anybody's even reading this anymore. It was a bad idea. It should have just been 6 issues, done. But then if it sold well, then start with another one. But that's not what they did. Okay, the next one is a book that this is a DC book that everybody really likes, and I don't dislike it. But I was disappointed. I was very, very disappointed. And that is Batman and Robin, number 24. Another story that just kept going and going, where I cared initially, and it just wouldn't end. It just would never friggin' end. And now it finally did. And the ending is so disappointing that you're just like, it took you this long to tell a story that ended up so anticlimactic it was scary. None of it really made any sense. Batman doesn't belong in the supernatural space. If he's part of a team and they're doing supernatural stuff, okay. But with this, it's on his own title, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. And originally we thought it was just like a gas situation where it was like a derivative of a scarecrow gas that this guy was using. And I really thought that the girl was going to end up being the one that had trained with them as younger. It ended up being still kind of part of that. But I thought that would have been a good twist. But we didn't even get that. We got an obscure person that said, "Oh, it was you this whole time," and I'm just like, how does that even coincide with what? It's not even a red herring. It's just out of the blue. Anyway, it was really, as far as I'm concerned, really bad. Just totally disappointing that I read all of this for no reason. Really no reason. I'm gonna forget. It was like 12 issues. I'm gonna forget all of it. The only part that was good was the parts about Damian wanting to be more like his grandfather and possibly leaving Robin. But that was literally all that was just done in like 2 pages. The conflict was just resolved. No biggie. So I don't know if I'm going to continue it anymore. And I know a lot of people really love this book, but Matt Fraction's about to start on Batman. I'm going to give that a shot. I'll see what the next storyline's going to be, but if it's going to be another 12-issue maxi story, I don't really care. I think these writers need to stop writing for the omnibuses. It just doesn't work. All right, and now moving on to an independent. This is number 6. And so we went from Marvel, DC to independent. So let's keep that track going. And this is Exquisite Corpses. I know a lot of people. I read this digitally, which is why there's a sticky note. And I know a lot of people really like this book, but it's totally losing my interest. We're not sticking with any particular character. Every issue was about a different character. So it's almost like having like just a variety of stories. It's not even really one story anymore. Like even in this issue, we don't even see the bosses at all. And normally we would get, this side story, a B story about the people that are governing the 13 colonies, kind of, berating each other. We didn't even get that this time. And we get this girl that has a crossbow that's kind of a dick, and then we get the fox face killer or whatever, and I guess this other woman killed her daughter, or she lost her daughter, or whatever. I don't even know. The main guy that we saw in the first issue, we never saw again. I mean, we never saw him again. So I don't know. I'll keep reading this digitally, but this is not worth your money. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. It's a bracket type game where whoever, whoever wins. It's, a tournament type situation. But I don't really care. I'm not attached to anything in this stage because we haven't even there's no character development because we see them for one issue and they're gone. So there's nothing going on here. All right. So number 5 is alive. Number 5 is alive. Is another independent book, and is one I again read digitally. And that is Dark Honor, about 2 assassin groups fighting against one another. The 100 is the name of the group. It's like a family. It's almost like a mob family. And the guy is wearing a thing around his neck. It's a key that shows all the payoffs to all the big people from the government or whatever through like decades, and he ends up showing it to the girl that I guess he kind of raised as a daughter, and I don't know if it is his daughter or not. I don't think it is, but raised as a daughter, and he says, "Oh, I know you wanted a son. Maybe it was her father because I thought maybe you wanted a son." He says, "No, I was just trying to protect you." And she says, "Come back." Of course, she's a lesbian, and then she goes off and goes to warn, I guess, her lover, but her lover is with the other guy, the head of the other thing that's trying to take over. And I thought that was actually kind of cool, which is why it's a little bit up on the scale. Is that the guy has like tattoos of the faces of the people that he's killed, which you could run out of space a lot very quickly because they're all very, very big. But anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. So the father goes there alone, even though he told the daughter that he was going to go with her, but he goes off by himself. He lies to her about what time and stuff like that, and he's got COVID. So this takes place during COVID. That's the stupidest thing too. So that's also why this knocks it down. The artwork, I think, is very good. But anyway, he has a battle with this guy, and he doesn't want the guy to have this thing hang around his neck. So instead of throwing it into the fire that they're fighting against, because it's like a crematorium or whatever, so instead of just throwing the thing into the fire, says, "I don't want you to have it," he throws himself into the fire wearing it. I don't know. I don't know, man. But anyway, I guess she's taken over, but doesn't have the key anymore because the key is now destroyed. So I don't know, but it's wrapping. At least it's wrapping up in like issue 5, so you don't have to really wait for this thing to drag out. That's what's great about independent books, is they're not Marvel and DC draw their stuff out. I'm getting paid by the word, apparently. As long as I can keep my storyline going for the next 30, 40 issues, I'm good. I don't understand that mentality. I just don't. Okay, so before we jump into the top 4, remember too that I am a writer myself, and you can check out stuff that I've written. You can just go to Amazon.com and type my name in. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do as well. Ring that bell, ding ding, and share this video out there. But on Amazon, you can check out my 4-novel sci-fi quadrilogy, Destiny Aurora. That was made into a board game, an RPG, and a graphic novel. We have a 6-issue graphic novel, 150 pages. Has lots of twists and turns. If you like an eclectic crew with space battle, you're going to love that one. It's also on Audible, and all my books are on Kindle, including my YA fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. If you like dragons and things like that, and a full new magic system, you're going to love that one. And then my new comic that now, when we wrap on Friday next week, I'm going to launch the campaign. I have some tweaks I have to do. Plus, I'm doing some stuff with the stretch goals. I think you guys are going to like. But I have a psycho Cinderella and a murderous Captain Hook, and they're running around New York City. They came out of novels, and they're being hunted down by Neverland's Tiger Lily. It's called Fairy Tales of Terror. We have over 550 people following it right now, and definitely check that out. The QR code is here, and a link in the description below. All right, so let's jump back into the last top 4. And the top 4, number 4 is a Marvel. Believe it or not, it is a Marvel book, and that is called Star Wars Jedi Knights. So I have the artwork, I think, is very good in here. We've had a lead up into this assassin going after Qui-Gon. Now, why it's Qui-Gon and nobody else, I have no idea, because that's like the worst person that you can try to have a dramatic thing with, because we already know how he dies, and it's not an assassin. Or not this assassin, anyway. So we already know that he can't die unless they're changing canon. Where it's an alternate version of the world, or worlds, or universe, or whatever, galaxy. But anyway, we have Mace. I forget the blue Twi'lek there, what her name was. But we have Qui-Gon and Mace and whatever the Twi'lek's name is. They go to find, to retrieve the body of a fallen Jedi, and then they discover that he was poisoned. So it was a murder. And as they're doing that, the Twi'lek gets a dart in the neck. So if she was literally shot with a blaster, she'd be dead. That's not a very good Jedi. Where they can't sense that something is coming at them. So anyway, she gets a dart to the neck and she drops down, right? Mace, who now knows that something is coming from that direction, does not force shield himself at all. And he takes a dart to the neck. What? So Mace Windu could have been killed too. So that was pretty bad, but I understand what the writer was trying to do. That he was trying to get them off the map. So it was a Qui-Gon versus the assassin story. And so the battle there is pretty good, although I would have really preferred having dialogue boxes, or at least thought boxes, narration boxes of some kind, even if it was third person. And because there was no weight to any of it, because we didn't have any inner monologue at all. So I thought that was also a mistake. But anyway, so he gets distracted by something the assassin says, a name or whatever, and he gets stabbed through the chest. We know he's not going to die, and even if he's poisoned by the blades, we know he's not going to die. So, again, just a bad move across the board. But I did like the battle, and I like that the storyline is progressing with the assassin, because most of them have been one-offs. But overall, I like it. It's just that this one had a shit ton of holes in it. Just a shit ton. Okay, let's jump into number 3. Another independent book, and that is also something I read digitally. It's Hyde Street by Jeff Johns. Artwork is phenomenal in this book. This book is about I guess a purgatory type world called Hyde Street, where you have Dr. X-Ray or Mr. X-Ray. He's got the X-Ray glasses from the old 70s, 80s ads and that were in comics back in the day. And Pranky, who stole his werewolf mask and put it on, now he can't take it off. So and it has grafted to his skin, which has made him a full werewolf. And he says, he comes to him and says, well, help me get this off. And he's like, no. You have to make me a deal that you're not going to go after my targets, because they need 10,000 souls to get out of Hyde Street. And then we have this other woman that was kind of cool, where she was like a ghostly type woman, and she goes to see the Frankenstein character. That was like a side story. But anyway, the main story is the story between the two of the Pranky and Mr. X-Ray. But anyway, so you can't, and so he says, fine, I won't go after your people, get this thing off me. And then he realized he can't do it. And he's like, I thought you said you could do it. I just made you a deal. He says, well, I can't. I thought I could, but I can't. So he says, where we're going? He says, we're going to see this doctor with this crazy surgeon type guy who's going to try to cut this thing off his face. But he's like, he loves to torture people, so I guess the souls that he gets, he goes to torture them. But it was a decent issue. I want to see what happens next. Okay, number 2 is another independent book, and it's a book I actually got through Kickstarter by Joe Benitez, and it's actually signed by him and the writer. I forgot Chen's first name. It's a female. But I'm a big fan of Lady Mechanica. But anyway, I also have the new thing. I haven't read it yet, though. So remember, this is what the stuff I've read this week. And this is an older book from 2016 that basically, I guess, came for free. I guess he's trying to knock out his old inventory. And this is the story of... I think it's kind of a... I forgot the word for steampunk. It's a steampunk book. So this is the story of these... She's like an investigator, okay? And in this case, she's working with Scotland Yard as like a detective from Scotland Yard she's working with. But she's independent. She doesn't actually work for them. She's an independent investigator. But anyway, we have this boy that in the beginning that is captured, and I think his essence was moved into this robotic doll. And it immediately flashes her back to her as a child, where I guess they had removed. I know we've had other stories about what's happened to her, but they basically amputated her arms and her legs as a child, and then stuck these, so she's almost bionic, where she's got robotic arms and legs, but the rest of her is not all of her, because she has these red glowing eyes. Also, the look and feel of the character is phenomenal. Like, this would translate extremely well to live action. It would need a lot more action to it because it's more investigative and dialogue heavy than action heavy. And but anyway, so she's investigating these toys, and her partner and his niece, which his name is Fred. But anyway, we get to find, this is where we find out how they get this robotic teddy bear to be part of the family. That's basically what happens. Not in this particular issue, but it's kind of leading up into that. Because I think I have this whole storyline, but it's been a long time since I read it, since it was 2016. But anyway, so really, if you have never read Lady Mechanica, it's actually really good. So, all right, so moving on to number one. What's it gonna be? Is it Marvel? Is it DC? Or is it an independent book? All right, well, if you've been watching this channel long enough, you probably know that it's most probably an independent. And that is Conan the Barbarian by Jim Zub, number 23. I can't believe he's been writing this for 2 years already. That's amazing. But this continues the storyline, and he's going to wrap it up in 5-6 issues, just like you should. Some of the stuff he wraps up before that, and you're like, did that story even end? Sometimes he moves a little bit too fast. But I think the pacing on this is really, really good, because we got introduction to Zula a few issues ago before this story even happens, which I thought was really cool. That, we got the introduction to that character. He started a brand new story, and then in the middle of the story, Zula shows up, which is great because we had a build up to him already. And we're like, oh, cool, we know this character. But anyway, he was captured, meaning Conan, and put into a gladiatorial type environment where he's working for an enchantress or a sorceress who has a way of getting into his head and basically keeping him down by that. So it's not a physical thing. And he also has a girl that he's trying to protect that's been made into like a slave. And then the other group of villagers or warriors that he was associated with, he has to actually fight against them. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but he decides he's going to try to kill the sorceress. The sorceress downs him through her mind abilities, her spells, or whatever. And the artwork is phenomenal. We get, the sex pot type clothing and stuff like that with it, which is great. And then all of a sudden, she's knocked out by somebody behind her, and it shapeshifts back into Zulu or whatever his name is. And it was awesome. So they capture her, and then he takes her visage. So he transforms into her and keeps an appointment with Tathaman, who is trying to recruit her. But I guess his god has already he feels that he's already tapped her, even though it's Zula's body. So I don't know how that works exactly. And Conan's there as his bodyguard, even though he knows very well that it's the person that's been winning all these things in the gladiatorial things. But really, really good stuff. So they basically go undercover. The spelling lasts a certain amount of time, so Zula has to basically book it out of there as he's changing. So it's I'm waiting to see what happens now, because now they've kind of led that up. Oh, and on top of that, the sorceress escaped. So now there's some, I don't know which she's going to do now, if she's going to ring the bell, because if she rings the bell, it shows that she's weak, which goes against everything that she's kind of prepared for, because she's trying to raise the ranks by doing this. Really, really intricate stuff, even though it's something we've already seen with a gladiatorial thing, but it's kind of taking its own kind of identity at this point with all the political stuff going on with these magical users. I cannot. This and Space Ghost are one of my favorite stuff. So if you're not reading Conan, you should. So good stuff. Anyway, that's it for me. Remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. If you can share this video out there, that'd be amazing. But if you subscribe, ring that bell, ding ding, so you get notified of all the videos I put up. I do. I was doing videos every day, but because of the movie, I haven't been able to do it, as often. But I do movie reviews as well. Mostly that's what I do is movie reviews, and then I do eventually comic reviews as well. But anyway, definitely check that out. Check out my stuff on Amazon, and definitely jump into Fairy Tales of Terror when we launch next week. But sign up right now. QR code here, link in the description below. See you guys later. Have an awesome week.